Hello everyone and welcome back to module 3 in the From Fear to Fabulous course. And in this module we're going to be talking about what I call the I'm not enough syndrome. And that means that, well, I feel it's probably the number one emotional disease that many women, in fact most women, face today. And that's because in my own experience of my own life, and also for the many women that I've worked with over the years, everyone feels like they're not enough, that they're not good enough, they're not beautiful enough, they're not slim enough, they're not clever enough, and on and on and on it goes. And we judge ourselves incessantly and very critically. And we judge other people as well, but we judge ourselves so harshly, and we're so afraid of criticism, we're so afraid of rejection, we're afraid of all of these things. And the reason is because we feel deep down inside that we're not good enough. And so I'm going to talk you through that. And one of the things that I wanted to mention actually is something that I realised today, and that in doing this course, it's massively outside my comfort zone for me, because the thought of doing video was absolutely appalling to me. It was abhorrent, and I thought I'm never going to be able to do that. But as I think I said earlier in one of the other modules, that to actually reach as many people and help as many people as I want to, then I have to do it. And I know it's much more impactful if there's a video and you can actually see me talking to you. And I've been saying to myself, oh, I don't want to do video, I hate myself on video, etc. And then I thought, hang on a minute here, this is a belief that I hold, that I am reiterating to myself all the time, and that's not helping me, and it's certainly not helping you. And so I'm going to stop doing that, and I'm going to say that I love doing video, and that I really enjoy doing video, and that I hope that you enjoy watching the videos that I've made for you too. And so instead of saying to myself now all the time, every day, I hate video, I hate seeing myself on video, I'm actually going to start saying, I love doing video and I really enjoy doing video. And change that paradigm in me, change that belief that I have, and that I've had for so long, that I dreaded doing video and I don't want to do video. So, you know, when I talk about watching yourself and, you know, picking yourself up each time that you judge or you're critical to yourself, when the critic steps in, we do it constantly, and it's so automatic that we don't realize it. And you know, I've been doing this for many years now, and I'm still on a journey just as you are, albeit that I may be a little bit further on because I've been doing it for so long. But it never stops. We have to constantly watch our thoughts and the messages that we're saying to ourselves. And this is something that I know I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life, because when you go to the gym and you don't suddenly get to your ideal weight, I'm sure I've said this before, but you don't get to your ideal weight and then think, well, that's it now, I don't need to bother going anymore. Of course you don't. You have to keep going and keep working at it. Otherwise, the weight piles back on and the flabbiness comes back and all of that. And so the mental rehearsal that we do is a muscle, just like the muscles that we exercise physically at the gym. And if we stop exercising that muscle, then of course all the old negativity and the old programming will start to come back again. Eventually, you know, you will get to notice it more and more, and you can stop it as soon as it starts. But we're actually wired to err on the cautious side, on the side of negativity. That's just the way our brains are wired, to for survival, I expect. But you know, back in the Stone Age, for survival, and if we had to face a tiger every time we went outside, but we don't have to do that now, of course. But the old programming is still there. We haven't evolved that at all. And so I'm going to stop saying that I hate doing video, and I'm now going to go through the PowerPoint presentation that I've prepared for you. And the other thing I'm going to stop doing is having the desire that I feel everything has to be perfect. And so, as I said, this is a new experience, a new learning curve for me. And I'm not very technical, so, you know, getting to the PowerPoint presentation and so on might not be as smooth as I'd like it to be, but that's okay, because I'm giving up the need to be perfect, which I think is something I know is something I would recommend to you to do as well, because you know, just relax, breathe, and just know that you don't have to be perfect. That as human beings, we make mistakes. We all do, and none of us are perfect. And so that said, I'm going to attempt now to share my screen with you and go through the presentation that I've prepared. So let's have a look if I can now do this. There we go. Doesn't seem to be working very well. Okay, let me see. There we go. I've done it. Great stuff. Okay, so as I mentioned before, the what I call the I'm not enough syndrome, it's the number one emotional disease that we as women, and some men of course, face today. And it's so prevalent today. I do know that many men suffer from this also, but as I specialise in working with women, I'm going to be talking mainly to the women today. And I'll be concentrating on that here in this module. And so what is it? What is the I'm not enough syndrome? Well, it's the belief inside us that tells us we're not enough. We're not good enough. We're not good enough to attract our ideal mate. We're not good enough to have the life that we want. We're not good enough to have an abundance of money. We're not good enough to get the job that we want. We feel that basically we just don't measure up. We believe that we're not worthy of love and that we have to pretend to be something that we're not. We wear a mask. We put on a show, and we can't contemplate allowing the world to see our true self because we just don't feel that we're good enough. And so many of us do this so well and for so long that our true identity, our true being, gets lost and buried really deep inside us. The I'm not enough syndrome is something we really do need to conquer and remove from our lives, as it hinders us in so many different ways. We won't apply for a brilliant job because we think we're not good enough to get it. And we're absolutely terrified of the R word, which is, of course, rejection. How many of you are frightened of rejection? I know I was. I still don't like it, but it doesn't stop me anymore doing the things that I want to do. And we fear rejection so much because we're afraid of what it might do to our already very diminished self-esteem. And that stops us basically from going for the things in life that would make us really happy. And this is so sad. And I know from my own experience that I've held back from so many things because I thought I wasn't good enough. And consequently, I let those opportunities slip by. But here's what I've learned from that. You experience what you believe. Whatever you think is possible for you in your situation is what will come true for you. I've said this before and I'll say it again many times. Your beliefs create your reality. And as I said before, those beliefs are mostly very limiting and formed out of our wounds. The amount that you value yourself is very different if it's viewed from the whole self instead of the fragmented self. And what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is that when we start on this journey of transformation and understanding the way our mind works and how all these problems and issues and that they're mostly formulated in our mind, and then they come to pass. And so when we start to realize that we are not this story that we've made up for so many years, that we are in actual fact a spiritual being having a human experience, and we start to realize our worth, we then start to understand our shadow and all of those other things. And then, as I said before, we start the journey back to wholeness. And when we look at ourselves from that place, the world looks very, very different. And that's why it's so important to take the necessary steps to return to wholeness, to return to the essence of who you are, instead of functioning mostly from the ego mind. The ego mind is very fragile and is often paralyzed by fear. And as I mentioned in the slide there are really, there's a book called The Course in Miracles. I don't know whether you're familiar with that, but they say in The Course in Miracles that there really are only two thought forms, love and fear. And at any given moment, you're operating from one or the other. And when you're operating from fear, you can't be in love. And when you're operating from love, you can't be in fear. And so you need to think about at any point when you're feeling fear or you're going about your day, you need to think about, the sorts of thoughts you're having, and then think, actually, which thought form am I operating from at the moment? Am I operating from fear? And most of the time, you probably will be. But it's our fears that hold us back. But you can learn to move through your fears. You'll always feel fear as it's a natural emotion. But when you're operating from your essence, fear won't stop you taking action. You'll still be scared, but you'll have the confidence to push through that. Many years ago, I was too scared to do all the things that I wanted to do. And now I still feel the fear, but I do it anyway, as the book says. It's a practice, and it's entirely possible and doable. And it's the same thing about rejection. As I said, I'm putting myself out there doing these videos, and there will be some people that don't agree with what I say, that don't have my beliefs. and values, and they probably won't like what I'm saying, and that's okay. And it's taken me an awful long time to be able to get to that point where I'm okay with that, because we can't please everybody all of the time. It's not possible. And the people that need to hear this information will hear it and will resonate with it, and it will help them. And the people that don't, it won't, and that's okay. And at long last, I'm okay with that. As I said, we're all afraid of rejection. Nobody likes it. But you've just got to remember, it's just that person's point of view. And if somebody is critical of you, you don't have to accept it. You really don't. You can reject it. And I've mentioned this before, but it really stuck in my mind because I was listening to an interviewer speak recently, a couple of months ago actually, who interviewed Meryl Streep many years ago. And she was telling him about the time that she went to an audition for the movie King Kong, I think it was. And the director told her that she was too ugly to be in that movie. Too ugly to be featured in the film with King Kong, a gorilla. Can you imagine how that must have made her feel? And can you also imagine what that statement would do to some people? I know what it would have done to me many years ago. I would never have done anything again. Many, many people, though, would have given up there and then the dream of acting and never pursued it again after that awful rejection. But not Meryl Streep. She decided to take the view that it was just that director's opinion and not to accept the rejection and let it rob her of her dreams. And of course, the rest is history. She went on to become a massive star and sought after actress. But if she'd taken on board the comments from that guy, her life probably would have taken a very different turn. So the message I urge you to take from this is you don't have to take on negative comments. You decide what you will and won't accept, and you choose what you allow into your mind. And a comment or a statement that has a high emotional charge for you is much more likely to go into the subconscious mind and become a belief. And when I say an emotional charge, it means like, if somebody tells you you're rubbish at something that you really want to be good at, and you get that horrible feeling in the pit of your stomach and you think, oh my God, am I really? Well, that then very, very easily goes straight into the subconscious and becomes a belief. Whereas if they said something that you really thought was nonsense, you would just dismiss it and not take it on board. But you can actually do that with any negative comment that you don't want to take on board. You really don't have to. And if you decide to reject a negative comment or thought pattern that pops into your mind, just know that your mind cannot hold conflicting beliefs. So that negative comment will not have a long-lasting effect on you if you consciously decide to let it go. And fear, as I'm sure you know, is so debilitating and holds us back. But interestingly, whether you've heard this before or not, I don't know, but we're actually born with only two fears. And they are the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. Those are the only two things that we're afraid of when we're born. All other fears we learn as we go through life, from the beliefs that we get from our parents, our teachers, our community, and others. What you need to do instead is to believe in yourself and create your own opinions about yourself and the world around you, and not listen to the government or the media. They want to keep you in fear with their brand of brainwashing every single day because it suits them better. And you really, really do not need to follow the crowd. You can think for yourself and decide, what's the evidence of this? Do I really believe this? Where did this belief come from? It really is time to wake up, because most people live their lives in a waking sleep. Once you become awake, you start to see the world very differently. To make a decision not to let your fears and beliefs hold you back from what you want, and set an intention of how you want your life to be. Decide to step into your brilliance and become the master of your life. And mastery takes practice, but eventually, if you keep at it, you will get to mastery. You may feel that you've not yet found your path or your brilliance, but I promise you, it's there. And I found mine quite late in life, but when I did, everything changed. I really used to think I was stupid, and now I know I'm not. But I'd not discovered my purpose. I didn't know what my work was in the world. Yes, I did various different jobs, but I didn't know what my real work was in the world. And now I share my knowledge and experience with many women around the globe. And here I am doing this video course. So it's never too late to start to do what you want to do and find your purpose in life. So stop the self-destructive patterns and learn how to remove the junk from your mind. Understand that rejection is part of your wound, and don't let that stop you. What's the worst thing that could happen if you go for a job and you don't get it? Well, I'll tell you, nothing. Nothing. You might feel a bit disappointed for a few days, or even less than that, a few hours. But then you pick yourself up and move on to the next thing, because that obviously wasn't meant to be for you at that time. You won't fail if you're determined to succeed in whatever it is, whether that's in relationships or your career or your happiness or your health. You just need to keep going. How many times did Edison fail before he created the light bulb? Thousands and thousands of times. How many times did the Wright brothers fail before they got a plane off the ground? Hundreds of times, but they kept on going as well. They didn't listen to the naysayers that repeatedly told them it wasn't possible. They just kept on trying. And sure enough, they succeeded. And we have them to thank for the air travel that we have today. That possibility of flying had always been there. But it took the Wright brothers to think about it first of all, and then put their thoughts into action to make it a reality for us today. And you can make your beliefs a reality if you really want to. Because you make your beliefs, and then your beliefs make you. You can't heal what you're oblivious to. You can't fix what you don't understand. So make it your business to find out what's going on in your own mind and what's holding you back. Find the root of your problem. Don't just attempt to put a plaster over it, because that will only work for a short time. And almost all problems stem from a sense of lack or fear of not being worthy, of not being good enough. So decide to face your fears head on and get some help to resolve them if you want your life to change. Investing in yourself is the best investment you will ever make. And one thing you can do right now is to start with a mirror. And I urge you to do this at least twice a day. So you get a mirror, you either a handheld mirror or you go in the bathroom when you're brushing your teeth in the morning, and you look at yourself in your own eyes and you tell yourself you're worth it, that you love yourself. And say your name when you say it. Look into your own eyes and say your name. So I would say, Angela, I love you. I really love you. And even if that's really difficult for you, as it was for me and as it is for most people when they start, you can say, Angela, I'm willing to love you. And say that for a few weeks until you can actually look into your own eyes and tell yourself that you love yourself, because you must do that to succeed in all areas of life. You must understand your own worth and love yourself, because if you don't, how can you expect your partner or anybody else to love you if you don't think you're worth loving? If you don't think you are, that's the message you will give to your partner, to your family, to your employer. Whether you say it in words or not doesn't matter. The information that you're giving out to the universe is you're not worthy. And so stop doing that. Change that today. So as soon as you've finished this module, go and get yourself a mirror, or go and stand in front of the mirror and tell yourself that you love yourself, and see how that feels in your body. And if you can't look into your own eyes when you're doing it, then say, I'm willing to love myself, because that's the process, and you're willing to start. And then the subconscious won't kick that thought out, and you could work on that. But this is a very, very powerful exercise. It's one that I learned many, many years ago from Louise Hay, and it really is worth doing. I can't stress that enough. So, okay, there we go. So that's the end of module 3, and I sincerely encourage you to watch this module again, because it's so important. Well, all of them are important, but knowing how to love yourself and even attempting to do it is vital to your healing, to your well-being, and to happiness. And you can do it. You really can. It's a process. It's just learning a new belief rather than the one that you've believed probably most, if not all, of your life. So please do the mirror exercise. It's so worthwhile, and you really will see a change in a couple of weeks if you do it at least a couple of times a day. 4 is the ideal. But it only needs to take a minute or two. You know, just say it to yourself 5 times, looking in the mirror, using your name, and then stop. And then when you remember, do it again. If you can do it 4 times a day, you'll see results quite quickly. So thank you so much, and I hope you've enjoyed module 3. And now we'll move on to module 4.